Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. Another week has started, another week of crazy CCP politics. I told you the information I access in the Chinese language media landscape is far more diverse, timely, insightful, and frankly, sensational than what most people in the English speaking world encounter. Did I also tell you that the debates and disagreements are also much more intense? I actually see this diversity of opinion as a healthy breeding ground, one that encourages the development of more balanced views. Over the past few weeks, if not months, we've seen bombshell after bombshell drop. We've heard that Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Zhang Youxia may be pulling strings behind the scenes, and that Xi Jinping is expected to relinquish some, if not all, power at the upcoming Fourth Plenum. We've heard that more generals loyal to Xi have been arrested or placed under investigation. We've heard that Vice Chairman He Weidong, after disappearing for more than 2 months, has died in custody. We've also heard that the CCP held an unexpected Politburo meeting, or unexpected but expanded Politburo meeting, where party elders, along with Zhang Youxia, openly criticized Xi Jinping and debated his political future. Now, these claims have triggered intense debate, largely because they've been released through unofficial channels and can be independently verified. And now the biggest revelation yet has arrived. Transcripts have reportedly leaked, featuring speeches by Hu Jintao, Zhang Youxia, and Xi Jinping at that meeting, that Politburo meeting. These documents have become the hottest topic in Chinese-speaking world. Are they real or fake? Real or not, one thing is clear. That is, only someone with deep access to Xi Jinping's political enemies could have written them. The content reflects the views of party elders and Zhang Youxia, not just on Xi Jinping's leadership, but also on China's direction, and even their stance on the Taiwan issue. That alone makes these contents worth examining. So let me walk you through what each of these leaders reportedly said, and then we'll analyze what it all means, what it might all mean, right? Because nothing can be confirmed 100%. All right, well, let me first tell you a little bit about the person who leaked the transcripts. The scripts were leaked from a Canada-based independent media personality known as Lao Deng. In Chinese means old lamp. Actually, I have a picture of him. Where did you go, Lao Deng? Here we go. Yeah. And he claims to have received the information from Tuan Pai, aka Hu Jintao faction, confirming that an expanded Politburo meeting did take place in May. He also noted that these are stenographic summaries, not word-for-word transcripts. The 3 transcripts were leaked one by one over a few days. Well, actually, yeah, he might have got, I don't know how he got them, but he released them one by one across a number of days. Because all 3 documents are quite lengthy, and I don't want to just read, I mean, some parts are not very interesting, but I'll give you the highlights and the key takeaways. Okay, we'll go through them one by one. By the way, his original video links are in the description. If you care for what he said, I mean, these are also published in text format, but I gave you the original video links. So let's talk about Hu Jintao's speech. Hu Jintao. Okay, there we go. So it was said that when Hu Jintao walked into the room, he was given a standing ovation. That's not in the script. I just heard that from someone, maybe from Lao Deng, from Old Lamp. By the way, Xi Jinping didn't get a standing ovation. Anyway, Hu's speech begins by describing the meeting as a critical moment for deciding the party's future direction. who emphasized the achievements made under the reform and opening up, from Deng Xiaoping's policy to the continued efforts by himself, Wen Jiabao, and Li Keqiang. Yes, these are the names he specifically mentioned. Himself, Wen Jiabao, and Li Keqiang. However, he said, in the past 10 years, the direction of the country has gone severely off course. Some individuals, listen to this, some individuals have ignored collective leadership, indulged in personality cults, and ruined a promising situation, plunging the country into internal and external crisis. The root cause, he said, is the distortion and abandonment of the reform and opening path. And then Hu dropped a heavy line, saying, even if one day we are pushed to the brink of civil war, we must never abandon reform and opening up. He said that at this meeting, this is what he said. He said, at this meeting, a preliminary consensus has already been reached to reframe the Fourth Plenary Session as one focused on personnel matters. And this is what he said. I'm going to read you the transcript. He said, the core task is to begin drafting the candidate list for the next Central Committee. We must ensure that pragmatic, reform-minded, and grounded comrades, those who reject personality cults and one-man rule, have a meaningful place in the leadership, especially those who've served in both the central system, meaning the central government, and at the local level. These are the cadres we need. I think he's paving the way for Hu Chunhua, right? Because he's one of the very rare younger leaders who have experience in both the central government and local levels. Anyways, here he continued. He said, at the same time, we will put forward a new proposal for the next Politburo Standing Committee. We must reevaluate whether the current 7-member structure is still appropriate, and we need a serious discussion about the role and powers of the General Secretary, including mechanisms for oversight. Let me be clear, the General Secretary must never stand above the party, and no one, not even the top leader, can place themselves beyond the Constitution and party norms. Okay, end quote. So that's what he said. And then in closing, Hu reportedly called for a return to reform and collective leadership. Saying this, he said, we have no way back. It's the only way to honor the party, the people, and Deng Xiaoping's legacy. In his entire speech, he did not mention Xi Jinping's name, even though his criticism of Xi is more than obvious, right? Okay, so that's what Hu said. His speech is relatively short. Now, Zhang Youxia's speech is much longer. His remarks began with a review of his achievements as vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, emphasizing that he had not let down the trust placed in him. Then he shifted tone when speaking about the 20th Party Congress. Zhang said that he had reached retirement age and was prepared to step down, but the leadership persuaded him to stay, officially to mentor younger officers. But in reality, the situation was more complex, he said. He explained that Xi Jinping needed his help to stabilize the military during his bid for a third term. Then Zhang Youxia dropped a bombshell. He said, during the 20th Congress, at Xi Jinping's request, he deployed troops to Beijing to maintain stability, and he publicly declared his support for Xi's reappointment. He admitted that was a mistake. The mistake was that he had enabled Xi Jinping's unlawful third term, which ultimately caused harm to the party and the country. That's his words. So Zhang said things deteriorated after the 20th Party Congress. he was viewed as too powerful and threatening to Xi Jinping. He was pressured to retire. I mean, if you think about it, this is ridiculous. I mean, he thought that he was going to retire, and then they reassured him that, well, we need you to mentor the younger officers. But in essence, what Xi Jinping wanted him to do is use military to support him, for the third term. And as soon as he got what he wanted from Zhang Youxia, he wanted him to retire. He wanted him to disappear. Well, this is according to what Zhang Youxia said, right? So he said he was pressured to retire. On the other hand, he said his opposition to war over Taiwan led Xi Jinping to distrust him and plan to replace him with He Weidong. So on Taiwan, Zhang Youxia reportedly said this. Okay, he said, I'm deeply concerned about the current state of the military, especially the growing appetite among some for reckless military action against Taiwan. The military is the backbone of this nation. Any rash move on the battlefield could lead to irreversible consequences. That's why I made the decision to stay on duty until the 21st Party Congress to help maintain stability within the armed forces and safeguard national security. End quote. So that's what he said about Taiwan. And he said that his refusal to retire had consequences. The attacks escalated. Political smears piled up. He claimed that Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe, the two most recent defense ministers, other than Dong Jun, were brought down in order to punish him, as both were considered his allies. He also described a confrontation with Zhong Shaojun, then director of the CMC General Office, effectively the military counterpart to Cai Qi, right? According to Zhang Youxia, Zhong Shaojun told him to his face, he said, what makes you think you can oppose Chairman Xi? You don't want to live? So Zhang named Xi Jinping directly in his speech, saying that under the pretext of anti-corruption, Xi Jinping had used his control of the military to eliminate rivals, creating instability and chaos. He said, this is his quote, I'm reading he said, it's heartbreaking. And more than that, it has shaken morale, weakened discipline, and damaged the very foundation of our military readiness. What troubled him even more was the way Xi Jinping governed the military: intimidation, installing loyalists, deploying political commissars to monitor commanders, and establishing an unofficial evaluation committee to control officer promotions. And Zhang said this committee was chaired by Xi Jinping's wife, Peng Liyuan. Actually, a photo of Madame Peng Liyuan hold, I think, a major general title because she was in the performing arts troupe of the military. So she's a general. So there was a photo that was leaked in early last year with a caption describing Madame Peng as a member of this officer evaluation committee. So Zhang Youxia said, she said, Zhang Youxia said, a singer holds the final say on who becomes a general in the PLA. Tell me, has anything like that ever happened in history, in any country, anywhere? Okay. So that's the comment he made about Xi Jinping's wife. So he said, under immense pressure, he rallied support from party elders and retired generals to purge corrupt and incompetent officers and stabilized the PLA. Then he made his position clear. He said he wanted to correct his mistake in supporting Xi Jinping's third term. He stated that the military is ready to once again support reform and opening up for the third time in modern party history, Now, why he said for the third time, I have to give you a little bit history on that. Historically, the PLA has played a critical role in safeguarding Deng Xiaoping's reforms. First, when Deng Xiaoping removed the Gang of Four, and then later when he pushed back against Jiang Zemin's leftist shift and reoriented the country towards economic reforms. Both times, he relied on the PLA's support. So that's why Zhang Youxia, he alluded to those moments when he said that this will be the third time in the party history that the military stepped forward to support reforms and opening up. He also called on Xi Jinping to resign from all three of his top positions to prevent the party and the country from being hijacked by the extreme leftist policies. Okay, so far 2 speeches down. Okay, let me tell you what Xi Jinping said. From his speech, you could tell that he spoke last. So he began his speech like this. Okay, I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs. He said, "Comrades, the significance of this extended Politburo meeting is profound and long-lasting. Just now, I listened attentively to the speeches by Comrade Hu Jintao, Comrade Zhang Youxia, and a few old comrades. I was deeply impacted. Your opinions were sincere and frank, and your criticism reflects a deep concern for the well-being of the country and the party. For that, I'm grateful. To address some of the criticism raised, especially the decision on leadership accountability, I believe it's necessary to clarify the situation and explain the principles. This will help us achieve unity of thought and build consensus, so we can move the party and the country's work forward." Okay, so that's his words, his opening. He then listed his achievements, which are poverty alleviation, the Belt and Road Initiative, COVID control, etc. He also cited support from grassroots soldiers and ordinary people as proof of his legitimacy. Then Xi Jinping addressed the elephant in the room, calls to replace him. He argued that such a move in the current, quote, historically sensitive period could lead to dangerous instability. And stability, he said, is a prerequisite for development. Next, Xi Jinping made a self-criticism and apologized to party elders and mentioned Hu Jintao. He admitted having been too forceful and might have hurt their feelings, and often neglecting to consult with them. He also named Zhang Youxia and admitted he had acted rashly on certain military matters and failed to listen to suggestions and alternative viewpoints, leading to internal unrest. He promised to change his leadership style in the future. Most importantly, Xi Jinping defended his position on reforms and opening up. He insisted he had never opposed it, and in fact, fully supported it. He gave 3 of his visions at the end. Listen to this. Okay, he said, "We should leverage the US-China trade war to enhance our national strength, leverage Taiwan unification to achieve the goal of a national revival, and use anti-corruption campaign to maintain the purity of the party." I mean, it's the same old stuff. He did not change. I mean, those 3 priorities, or if these are his visions, I mean, he did not change. It's same old, right? Okay, and then he promised to adhere to collective leadership, meaning group decision-making, and then seek broad consultation for major decisions, especially from party elders. And then he promised to unite the entire party to overcome challenges and achieve national rejuvenation. Okay, so that's Xi Jinping's speech. And with that, it concludes the highlights of the 3 leaked speeches. What do you think? Now the question is, are they real or fake? And more importantly, How should we interpret them? Well, first of all, this kind of leak is impossible to verify. All we can do is present different viewpoints and analyze them based on logical reasoning and known facts. So let me start with some of the arguments challenging the authenticity of the transcripts. The first one, there are actually two major ones. There aren't that many challenges, okay? These are the two major ones, and they're shared by a number of people. So the first is the meeting date. The most commonly reported date for the alleged expanded Politburo meeting is May 14th. However, well, let me just get rid of these pictures. They don't do much for us. That date has raised serious doubts. According to multiple state media reports, several key Politburo members were engaged in public activities elsewhere that day. So, for example, on the afternoon of May 14th, Shanghai Party Secretary Chen Jining inspected the city's party school. That same afternoon, Chongqing Party Secretary Yuan Jiajun met with Minister of Civil Affairs Lu Zhiyuan in Chongqing. Meanwhile, Xinjiang Party Secretary Ma Xinrui and Vice Premier Ding Xuexiang, who is one of the 7 Politburo Standing Committee members, they were both in Xinjiang and Hubei. They were in Xinjiang and Hubei, respectively. They were not in Beijing. So in short, several key leaders were not in Beijing on May 14th. So they asked, how could such a high-level meeting taking place on that date without these leaders, right? So that's challenge number one. And number two, the language and style of Zhang Youxia's speech has a problem. Critics have also pointed out inconsistencies in the style and wording of Zhang Youxia's speech. They note that Zhang referred to Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe, both expelled from the party, confirmed they have been formally expelled from the party, but Zhang Youxia referred to them as comrades. But when he referred to the current Politburo member He Weidong by name, he did not use any title or honorific. Such usage, they say, would be unthinkable in a formal party speech. Now, these 2 points about the date and the language have been raised by well-known political analysts and China experts, people who I respect tremendously. These are, people with high caliber. So they're from, reputable experts. So based on these challenges, they question whether the meeting actually happened at all. That's their question. They question the meeting, not so much the transcripts. So here's my analysis. Okay, so now I'm going to give you my view on this. I found at least 4 independent sources reporting that a special high-level CCP meeting did take place. Importantly, the person who leaked the transcripts was not the one who gave the May 14 date. Others had already mentioned such a meeting. This man Lao Deng, Old Lamp, he simply confirmed the meeting and released the transcripts without ever specifying a date. So the real disagreement may not be about whether a meeting happened, but when. There were many reports that security in Beijing was unusually tight from May 1st to mid-May. I have seen reports from many people saying that at subway stations or transportation hubs, everything and everything has to go through, has to be scanned. Even drinks people were holding in their hands had to be scanned. And armed forces were reportedly seen moving into Beijing at the end of April. So I believe a large closed-door meeting took place in May. Whether you call it an expanded Politburo meeting or something else is beside the point. It's also possible that the meeting spanned several days with different agendas and rotating attendees. For example, I say this because there's a historical anecdote. In January 1987, Deng Xiaoping organized a similar internal meeting that lasted 5 days, ultimately leading to Hu Yaobang's removal. And then if you remember Hu Jintao's speech, he said this. He said, at this meeting, a preliminary consensus has been reached. If you think about it, it suggests the meeting had already been underway before his speech, right? He said, at this meeting, a preliminary consensus has been reached. It couldn't have been reached on that day before he spoke. So that would explain why some provincial leaders might have only attended parts of it. So May 14th could have been one of the meeting days, but not necessarily the day Hu Jintao spoke. If it's a multi-day event and not all leaders were there for the entire duration, then there could have been, what everyone says was correct, that the meeting did take place on May 14th, but it may not be the day that Hu Jintao gave the speech, right? Or when Hu Jintao gave the speech, or all three of them, when they gave the speech, some provincial leaders weren't there. So that's my view on that. So in my view, one incorrect detail, like the exact date, doesn't invalidate the whole story. Logically, you cannot. Just because one day doesn't match, or just because some individuals that you think should be at the meeting weren't present, doesn't mean that these speeches never happened, because there's no direct correlation, right? There are so many other possibilities and scenarios that could take place, like I explained. So it does not justify to invalidate the entire all three speeches. So one example is take He Weidong as an example. I mean, he's been missing for 2 months. Rumors about his arrest vary widely. Some even contradict one another. But one thing is no longer in dispute. He's been removed from his post, right? So when the rumors about his arrest came out, it was in all sorts of form. I mean, there were many different stories. But the details vary. They say the same thing. He's gone. That's my point number one. Now, as for Zhang Youxia referring to Li Shangfu as comrade while calling He Weidong by name, I think this actually makes sense given the context. This was not a formal party event like a third plenum or the party congress. It was a closed-door, high-stakes session. Despite being labeled an expanded Politburo meeting, the tone was likely informal and the speeches were more direct and personal. And also, Li Shangfu is an ally of Zhang Youxia. Zhang sees him as a loyal officer who was wrongfully purged by Xi Jinping. He Weidong, on the other hand, was reportedly someone that Zhang Youxia doesn't like. So in that context, it makes sense for Zhang Youxia to call Li Shangfu a comrade, and then He Weidong by name, right? Especially in that informal setting. Now, if you think about it, in a formal CCP meeting, Xi Jinping would always certainly speak first. Did you notice that in the transcript, Xi Jinping spoke last, right? After Hu Jintao, after Zhang Youxia, and after the other leaders. That strongly suggests that this was not a standard political session, but rather a planned struggle session. In Chinese, we call that 批斗大会. It was a struggle session against Xi Jinping. He was forced to listen to criticism and then given a chance to defend himself at the end. Now, even if these transcripts were fabricated, they got the fingerprints of Hu Jintao's people all over, because they're intended as a political weapon against Xi Jinping. Now, remember, the person who leaked the transcripts claimed they came from Hu Jintao's faction. I mean, he told us that's where he got his transcripts from. So if you really think about it, maybe the reason these transcripts were leaked because Hu Jintao's people want to tell the world that Xi Jinping is stepping down and they're now in control, but they can't. They can't tell the world officially. What can they do? Well, through leaked documents and rumor mill, right? Did you notice that Hu Jintao didn't mention Xi Jinping's name at all? But Zhang Youxia directly accused Xi Jinping and his wife. This tactic is standard CCP's intra-party struggle session procedure, 党内批斗. It goes like this. The big boss sets the tone without being specific. Then there's another official does the talking and name all the names. So it fits that model. So this meeting obviously was organized by Hu Jintao and Zhang Youxia. And the leak was engineered to kind of announce it unofficially. Now, even if they aren't actual speeches, think about it. They accurately represent the views of Hu and Zhang. And they align with other reports we have previously seen. For example, Hu Jintao's claim that even a civil war would be worth it to regain control of the reform and opening up. This was already rumored through other sources. We've heard that even before this transcript was leaked. And Zhang Youxia effectively admitted that Xi Jinping's third term was secured through a covert military threat, a soft coup. That again matches what many people believe actually happened at the 20th Party Congress. So real or not, these transcripts have already achieved their purpose. They circulated outside China, then re-entered Chinese conversations, or re-entered China, right? If the speeches did take place, the leak has let the world know what's going on in CCP politics without being transparent. And that's why rumor mill comes handy. If it's not true and the meeting didn't take place, the message the scripts carry includes several radical political demands. And they are, 1, Xi Jinping must consider stepping down or fully give up power. 2, the Politburo Standing Committee and next Central Committee must undergo major reshuffling at the Fourth Plenum. 3, the General Secretary's powers must be curtailed or reduced, no matter who holds the position. And number 4, Xi Jinping is portrayed as conceding, offering to remain in a weakened role in exchange for a safe political exit. And if you really think about it, this is a very powerful political weapon, right? So people shouldn't get bogged down by minor factual discrepancies. They should look at the big picture. So now let's do a vote. Do you think the 3 leaked speeches are real or fabricated? So vote 1. Chris, can you post the survey? So vote 1 if you think it's real, and vote 2 if you think it's fabricated. And I'm not even giving you the third option because that doesn't matter. I just want to see what people think between real or fabricated. Okay, so please cast your vote. That's all. Okay, let me wait a little bit and see what questions people have for me. Okay, all right, let's see. First of all, let me thank the people who gave me super stickers. I saw some flash by. Oh, here's one. Michael Airline Injury Attorney. Thanks for supporting USA, US Interactive Marine. Thank you. Well, yeah, yesterday was Memorial Day. I hope everyone had a great day yesterday. All right, thank you. Roach Media Labs. Thank you. All right, let's see. I saw some more. Here's one. Michael Estrada. If she is replaced, does the Russia-China alliance stand? I do not think so. If Xi Jinping is replaced, I think Russia-China relations will change dramatically. A bit, because the only reason China supports the war in Ukraine is because of Xi Jinping. So even Putin is trying to give Xi Jinping a push or giving him a hand, right? I mean, I think Russia is aware of the political struggle that's happening in China, and they're very concerned that Xi Jinping is going to lose. So it's not in Putin's interest to see Xi Jinping lose power. Brian, a Brain Kawa. Thank you, Brain. Brian, oh, here's a question. All right, Brain. All right. Okay. How do we do with the survey? Should we? Oh, Joe Isaacs. Miss Lei, you should share your insight further on other podcasts. The West needs to be more aware of the CCP. Thank you for the broadcast and analysis. What do you mean by other podcasts? You mean other people should invite me? Well, it's up to them. It's up to them. All right. Michael again. Oh, Mao was pure evil. God bless this pro-US channel. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Sigma Lei. If these are real, the challenges once they openly move forward cannot retreat, as Xi will have his revenge. Do you agree? I'm not sure if I get the question. You mean if they move forward with their plan, Xi Jinping will have his revenge? Judging by the speeches, let's assume the speeches are all real, which I tend to believe that they're not fabricated. If you judge him by the tone that Xi Jinping spoke, he has already retreated. He's bargaining. I think he's bargaining. He knows that his power will be reduced. He's hoping to hold on to one of the ceremonial titles or the ceremonial title so that he's not completely out of the picture. Yeah, so I think he's just using that. Whatever he said was trying to negotiate. There's no way he's going to keep all three titles or all three jobs. There's no way. So he has already retreated. In terms of revenge, what else can he do? I mean, if He Weidong died, let me just about the death of He Weidong, another analyst also challenged that, and he's a very reputable. Actually, I have one of my fans forward me the video. I watched it, and the argument goes, he does not believe that He Weidong has already died. His argument was that if such a high-ranking leader died, CCP typically did not cover. For example, when Li Keqiang died, Li Keqiang was perceived as Xi Jinping's enemy, right? So when he died, the CCP announced it right away. And there were a few other generals, high-ranking generals, when they died, CCP announced their death immediately. So he said that if He Weidong truly died, they would announce that right away. However, I think his statement is true. Before this, if Xi Jinping is still in power, that would be true. But unfortunately, think about it. Xi Jinping is not in power anymore, right? So Xi Jinping is not in Xi Jinping's interest to announce He Weidong's death. Why would Xi Jinping want to announce He Weidong's death? It's going to make him look ridiculous because he lost his number 2 man in the military. Supposedly number 3, but Xi Jinping sees him as number 2. So announcing He Weidong's death, it does not make Xi Jinping look good, because everyone will ask, what happened to the guy? It sounds too suspicious, right? But announcing Li Keqiang's death is a political need for Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping want to announce that to put an end to end Li Keqiang's influence. But to announce He Weidong's death is a big liability to Xi Jinping. because he's his ally. So he wouldn't want to. Now, the party elders, Zhang Youxia and Hu Jintao, Hu Jintao's people are not interested in announcing He Weidong's death either, because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't gain them anything, right? But he's dead. The man is dead. I mean, that everyone who needs to know already know. And the public doesn't need to know. So they're not interested in announcing He Weidong's death. So I highly respect his decision, but he can't use past events to judge a current event because the political dynamic has completely changed. When Li Keqiang died, Xi Jinping was in full control. Now he's not. So if you continue to assume that Xi Jinping is still in full control, of course, you can make that assumption. But no matter how you look, Xi Jinping is not in full control. There are just so many. There's just so many fact-based developments, that have been coming out from Beijing every day. I haven't got time to compile them, but it's overwhelming. Xi Jinping has lost power. That's just not debatable. Anyone who's still refusing to acknowledge that, I think is a little stubborn, in my opinion. Okay, all right. Let's get back to the super stickers. Patricia Clampett. Well, thank you, Patricia. All right. Let's see. There's one more. Pronto man. Is princeling a derogatory term in CCP politics? Not necessarily. I mean, is there a better word to use than princeling or the red second generation? 红二代, right? Or yeah. Even if it's derogatory, I think it's okay. They deserve it. All right. Okay, let me pick some questions. Let's see. Oh, where are the questions? I don't see any. People are, here we're, Greg Barnes. I'd like to see PPT slides showing names and titles. Abbreviated, of course. I'm too lazy to do the digging. Okay, I will try to do that. I have been starting to do that, but for tonight, Chris added the names for me. I thank him for that. They may be a little small on the slides, but I have been doing that. Thank you for the suggestion. I know it's very difficult because they're the Chinese names and they may sound similar. Okay. Galia. Is this meeting the reason for activating pro-Beijing propaganda? France detected in Eastern Europe propaganda type Xi Great China and these days. Do you think propaganda and meeting linked? I think a lot of the CCP apparatus are still functioning according to the direction that Xi Jinping and his people have set. They haven't, I mean, they're still running according to the previous script. And I think that may be the case. Because he has been in power for the past 12 years. So the entire CCP machine, propaganda machine, infiltration machine, everything has been operating so far according to his directive. So they may not have gotten the time to change direction yet. So that's why you're still seeing all these propaganda. Jomai. Do you think the chance of invasion of Taiwan increases with possible leadership change in August? I do not think so. I really do not think so. Although if Xi Jinping's people, I don't think so. Judging from everything that I've seen so far. Yeah, that's my answer. Oh, let's see the survey results. 1, 2, and there's some 3s. Okay, everyone vote. Okay, 1.2, 3s, 1, 2s. Okay, can someone give me the survey results? Sleeping Lafay. Oh, that's not John S. Would the coup be an overnight coup with Xi in exile or protracted civil war? Yes. Is it possible? Here's a question. Very good question. Is it possible for Xi Jinping to flee China and to go in exile in foreign countries? My answer is no, because he has nowhere to go. In a normal situation, a head of state, it would leave the country and seek exile, go into exile, right? But where can he go? Not in the West. Do you think he wants to go to Russia? Well, I don't think so. I don't think things will look good for him in Russia at all. And his life will be miserable. And I don't think his wife will go with him. So he really doesn't have anywhere to go. That's really sad. He is stuck. He has made too many enemies. And the people he supported are not, the countries that he influenced are not in the state where he want to be in, right? So he has nowhere to go. So exile is not an option for him. Okay. Someone asked me, if you believe it to be real, do you still believe the 60-day rule? I do not believe the 60-day rule at all. I think that was just a pure intimidation. That was fabricated to intimidate Xi Jinping as a stick warning, to warn him. That was pure rumor. It's not going to happen. I do not believe so. Okay, here's a question forwarded by Chris from Joe Isaacs. Your insight into China is important for many in the West. Would you consider taking your insight into other podcasts? How do I do that? Does that mean that they're going to invite me? Sure, yeah, they should. All right. Here's a question from Netflix Foreign. You have talked about who is likely to replace Xi. How do you think Peng Yuan would have run, given in modern China we have never truly seen a woman rule? I don't think she would be able to get the job. I think she will lose bitter. I think in the CCP's internal CCP system is not friendly to women at all. Take a look. The 24 Politburo members, the Politburo does not have a woman. In the previous one, there were 25 people, 24 men, 1 woman. And that 1 woman was symbolic because they needed a woman there. So women do not do well in CCP politics. It's totally the opposite of Chairman Mao said, that woman holds half of the sky. A woman in CCP, you don't see half of the woman in their in the Politburo or even in the Central Committee. No, I think she has no chance. CBG sourcing. Well, thank you. We like you. Well, thank you. All right. Frank Gigantico. Thank you, Frank. Here's one from CWLP Falk. I love that name. Thank you for your time and effort keeping us informed, Jim. Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Here's a question from Daniel Conkle. Are any of the alternatives to Xi less aggressive regarding forcefully taking Taiwan? Okay, this is what I heard. So you all know that there have been so much speculations that Hu Jintao has been Hu Jintao's appointed successor for Xi Jinping. But because of that, Xi Jinping pushed him out. So everyone assumes that Hu Zhenhua has been active lately. Actually, in the past couple of days, he was sent in to offer condolences to the I think the former president of Vietnam passed away, and Hu Zhenhua went to pay tribute at the embassy, the Vietnamese embassy in Beijing. Think about it. Hu Zhenhua was sent. So that's another sign that he's up and coming, right? But the latest the latest information says that the party elders worry that it may be too early to transition him into the top position. So what they want to do now is they want to put Wang Yang, who was part of the last Politburo Standing Committee, was one of the 7 top guys. They want to put Wang Yang as the party leader and then Hu Zhenhua as the premier. And that will be the team to run from the 4th plenum until the 21st Party Congress, which will take place in 2027. So Wang Yang will stay on as, Wang Yang will be the party leader until the 21st Party Congress, and then he will pass the baton to Hu Zhenhua, because then he will be, experienced enough or have at least been in the Politburo Standing Committee. So that's what I heard. There's no way to verify that. But if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the whole idea is to really protect Hu Zhenhua so that he's not challenged. So he has a steady, he goes steady in moving up. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the super sticker. And let's see. Oh, here's Espina Jr. I've been low-key watching all your videos without commenting. Just want to let you know that I enjoy them all. Keep up your excellent work. Well, thank you very much for speaking up. I truly appreciate it. Your encouragement, all of your encouragements mean a lot to me. Paul Levchuk. Using titles in such a small meeting like that is putting lipstick on a pig. I agree. I was very shocked to hear these, top-notch political analysts, using that as an excuse. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Of course, Zhang Youxia is not going to call He Weidong comrade. I don't understand what these people, I think sometimes, the people with professional training have so many notions in their head to analyze things. So sometimes they may lose the sight, the real sight. So I agree with you. I think that it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, the way he talked was, if it's the other way, I would really question it. If he used honorifics and titles in this talk, I would say that doesn't sound right. It looks more like somebody, a junior writer, writing the speech and adding all the honorifics. In real life, he wouldn't. So I agree with you. Okay. Now here's a question from Odd Dude says, Lei, there is a connection problem. You're paused. Still? Oh my goodness. I don't know. I upgraded my internet and there's still a pause. Okay. Well, I need to look into that because I'm disappointed with my internet speed. If any one of you has any idea why this is happening, because I have fiber optics and it's fast and this is still happening. I have no idea. Okay. All right. I think, did I reach? Oh, here's a question forwarded by Chris from Renderless Character. Do you think China will become more democratic or more authoritarian after Xi Jinping? Absolutely more democratic, because people will not accept anything less than democratic. That's my answer. Okay. All right, I think I've reached the bottom of all questions. And can someone give me the survey? I'm just curious to see what the survey looks like. Can someone give me the survey? Or is it worth? Okay. Flawless internet since the upgrade. Well, okay. Anyone want to give me 61 versus 39? Okay, so 61 think it's real, 39 think it's fake. I'm thinking if I have to, because there's no way I could say this is 100% real, right? And there's no way we could say it's 100% fake. So I think this 3 to 2? Yeah, 3 to 2 ratio or 3 to 2 weight is perfectly, I think, reasonable in my opinion. Oh, 67 said real. Okay, 2/3 and 1/3. Yeah, I think that's, if I have to give a weight, I would say it's 2 to 1. All right. Thank you very much. That's all for tonight. I will see you in a few days. There's a chance I may not do a program on Thursday. I haven't decided because I have another engagement on Thursday. But we'll see. Maybe I'll still be able to. There's so many things I want to tell you about. So it all depends on my schedule. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.